Welcome to the video lecture series offered by the PG Department of English, Pioneer College, Pioneer. The chapter I am going to discuss today is a poem titled The Rich Will Make Temples for Shiva, which is written by the 12th century Kannada poet Basava, or Basavanna as he is commonly known as. This poem is included in the book Discoursing Diversities, Readings on Democracy and Secularism, which is prescribed for the third semester Common English students of Kannur University. This poem, as I already mentioned, is written by a poet who belonged to the Vajana tradition in Kannada literature. Vajana tradition was a poetic tradition which was an offshoot or which was largely inspired by the Veerashaiva socio-religious movement, which was very prominent in uh, 12th century against. It was a movement which was against a Vedic form of living at that point of time. It provided alternative ways of thinking, alternative ways of expressing than which was expected from a Vedic form of existence. Basavanna, he was not just a poet, but he was also a statesman. Actually, he was the chief minister of the kingdom of Bijala II. And he opened up various platforms for his people to come together and engage in debates, engage in dialogues over various thoughts, various political issues, etc. And also engage in discussions about spirituality. He used the coffers, the money in the coffer, for such purposes. So, in that sense, he brought about various reforms in the society. He was also a social reformer and not just a poet. Other poets who belonged to this Vachana tradition are Ambikara, Akkamaha Devi, etc. So, these poems, which belong to the Vajana tradition, it gave importance to the vernacular in various ways. Now, coming to the poem, The Rich Will Make Temples for Shiva. It's a very short poem, I'll just read it. The rich will make temples for Shiva. What shall I, a poor man, do? My legs are pillar, the body the shrine, the head a cupola of gold. Listen, O Lord of the meeting rivers, things standing shall fall, but the moving ever shall stay. So the last two lines, things standing shall fall, but the moving ever shall stay. So this is a kind of comparison or a kind of contrast is drawn between things or institutions which stand without any change, without undergoing any change. Such institutions, such social structures shall fall, shall decay, shall be subject to some sort of ruins. But at the same time, the moving ever shall stay. If anything will stay, or if anything will remain for an extended period of time, those are things that will always move, or those are things that will always be on the move. So, things that remain stagnant, they are at the risk of falling, they are at the risk of decay, while those things which keep on moving, they will have a certain sense of uh, life. So this is the philosophy that runs through the poem in a way that uh, kind of gives importance to the uh, the spirit within, or the goodness within each body of within each devotee, rather than focus on, or rather than give much importance to religious institutions like temple. So what the poet says is temple is a structure made of materials like cement, bricks, etc. It's a structure which does not undergo any change, and which might, get decayed with the passage of time, either as part of some natural calamities, or some other reason, just due to the ravages of time. Such institutions might fall, it might be ruined. But as far as human beings are concerned, as far as the spiritual goodness, the cultivation of spiritual goodness is concerned, each body of, or each person has within him or her the capability of being a temple, the capability of cultivating a goodness, a compassionate, a sort of kind, compassionate nature, which will keep on growing, or which will be there, which will always remain, than the sense of goodness that is supposed to be there in a structure called temple. So, what Basavanna says is that, in another sense, what he tries to say is that the rich can make, the rich, if they want, they can make temples for Shiva, but the poor need not have any regrets that they can't construct such, such buildings or such structures for gods, because there is no point in going on with meaningless rituals and customs without, any change, without practicing rituals, without practicing forms of life, without understanding them. Any ritual for that matter will undergo, or will be subjected to change depending on the times, or depending on the various changes that happen over the years. But without considering these, if people give more importance to rituals, then it does not make any sense. More important is that you change yourself into such an abode of goodness, such an abode of compassion. So, in that sense, it won't be the temple, or it won't be such structures that would remain until the end, but it could be such people, like such people who actually have a sense of goodness, or a sense of compassion within them, and people who are always on the move, who who tend to change with in the course of time, who are not so rigid, and who are not so rigid to any sort of change, and who are not adamant that they would not change in any manner. So this is what the poem tries to convey in a certain sense. What is also important in this particular poem is that, in a context where people are kept away from temples, where people belonging to certain castes are not uh, permitted to enter temples. This is a poem which tries to say that temples are not such pristine places, and temples are not such a very important institution that you cannot um, keep away from. or places that you always have to visit in order to show your piety, or in order to show your devotion to God. On the contrary, bodies in a place where certain bodies are considered to be polluted, certain bodies belonging to certain caste communities are considered to be polluted. So, in such a context, this poem is very relevant, because what this poem says is everybody, each and every body has the capability to, or each and every body has a purity within itself. Each and every body is pure in itself, and it does not need to look for purity outside. It does not need to seek purity from institutions like the temple. So, this is also one way of looking at it. Thank you. Now, we'll move on to the short answer questions given in the text. First question: how does Basava consider temple and worship of the traditional kind? Basava is of the view that the idea of temple and traditional forms of worship ought to be reconsidered, as these practices allow only a segment of the society to participate in them. Caste becomes a determining factor for a person to be a part of the temple and cultures associated with it. Second question: what are the binaries upon which the poem is conceived? The poem is conceived upon the binaries of the standing temple and the moving body. The former is subject to decay with time, while the latter undergoes transformation in accordance with the material and spiritual journeys of a person. Third question: comment on the address, the Lord of the Meeting Rivers. The Lord of the Meeting Rivers is a signature line of the Vachana tradition. It refers to Shiva and is suggestive of nature's transience, which shall stay forever. Why? Whatever moves shall stay forever. Here it refers to the human body, which is open to change and growth with the passage of time, unlike the concrete structure of a temple. Fifth question: comment on the title. Answer: the title, The Rich Will Make Temples for Shiva, refers to the practices of discrimination associated with the temple. The temples open to those with economic and social capital, while remaining closed and hostile to the underprivileged communities. Most of the temples operated as sites which follow the practice of untouchability and deny entrance to lower and backward caste communities.